and welcome to Yachting Monthly's how-to series, brought to you in association with GJW Direct. I'm Matthew Sheehan, and over the course of 13 episodes we're going to be dealing with some of the key issues when it comes to maintenance and talking to some of the experts to get their tips.
We have a lot of gel coat repair that we do at the end of each season. We get it done by Mark Bucket at Solent Repairs, and what we're going to do today is just look at how to do a nice simple gel coat repair. Here's a very typical bit of rope wear on the gel coat where just repeated rope going against the gel has worn through it, and then we've got some more impact style marks over here which we've just very briefly touched up during the course of the season, and more of an impact mark over here where the gel coat's actually been punctured.
Firstly, this chip here, obviously it's gone underneath, it's not through to the laminate and it's not fractured out. The fractures you can normally tell with little black lines coming out, but obviously this is just a gel chip. So we're just going to key this area up, ready for some filler. So today we're going to just use a drill with a small burr piece, just to key the area and make sure that our gel coat sticks. So just lightly go over the area. Keying that area only. And we can do the same on this little chip here, very slowly, just like so. Secondly, we just want to sand the area around very lightly, just so we get a good key for our gel coat to stick.
So Mark, talk us through the types of materials you're going to use here, how the proportions we're going to use to mix them, and what we do to get ready.
So firstly, we've got some white gel coat with some wax solution in it, and what we've done is we've added some Carbosil, which is just a powder which thickens the gel coat to a nice thick mix, so that we can actually use it as a filler.
And what's that about, like peanut butter consistency?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's sort of so it doesn't fall off. So when you're actually spatuling it onto the job, it doesn't fall off and go everywhere and make a horrible mess on someone's deck. So then what we do is we then add the catalyst to the gel coat. Always be very careful with the chemicals, because obviously it's peroxide, so it will burn you if it goes on your skin. So if you're unsure of it or you're not used to it, wear gloves and make sure it's always kept in a safe place. So now we've got our filler mix. We've already keyed our 2 areas that we need to fill. So we're simply going to take a little bit of our filler mix that's all catalyzed and ready to go off. Simply add it to the areas. Don't worry, we do make it look a little bit prettier than this. So with a small plastic spatula, which you can buy from anywhere, from sort of car places or chandleries or anywhere like that, simply go over the repair area, and you can see as it pulls out it will go the other way. So just pull it back, keep going until you've perfectly filled the area.
And one thing I always wonder here, Mark, is are you better to put more on so that later you can rub it down?
Yep.
Or should you be able to get it pretty much flat from the start?
This product, or pretty much most products, as they're a liquid form, they will shrink slightly. But you are going to add the gel coat on afterwards as well, so it will again help. So with these, we would just literally just pull them as flat as we can, but without trying to put too much pressure on the spatula. If you put too much pressure on the spatula, it will go under flush. So now we'll wait for these to go off, which again we can just keep the pot to one side. Don't leave it on a combustible surface, because the pot can get hot. It will exotherm in the pot. So you can, if I left it there, you would end up with a ring on your deck where it exotherms. So always make sure you discard these or put them in a safe place. If they get too hot, which is just a mass, a little bit of water on top just stops them from getting too hot. We'll wait for these to go off.
How long do you reckon?
We should be around about 30 minutes before that goes off. So what we're going to do now is we've got, we need to colour match near to the repair that we're doing, because different areas of the boat will fade at different rates with different UV attacks. If the boat's moored up in a different way, it can be a different colour on one side to the other. So you want to gel coat as close to the repair as possible. But also as well is this looks nice and clean. However, we need to cut back the top layer of gel coat so that we can get the true colour, because when you rub down the gel coat once you've put it on, it's going to go into a rubbed area. So we need to simulate that on an area nearby. So what we're going to do is we're going to rub this area back and then bring it back up to a shine, which will give us the true colour, and then we can colour match from that.
Great, okay. So
firstly, we'll just take a little bit of sandpaper. Now you can use this particular one is a 240 grit, just to cut back. You can cut back with sort of a 120, but obviously you just need to go back up through the grades to be able to polish. Generally the three key grades I would say are 120, 320 and 800 are your three minimum grades. You can go higher, which will make your polishing easier, or depends what polish you use.
Sure, okay.
So just in this area here, we're just going to give it a little rub back. Not too much pressure, because you don't want to dip any areas.
And would you suggest people use a block to keep a nice flat surface, or just really flat hands, or?
Ideally a block, but if you're only cutting back a small area and you're going to block the area afterwards, when we come to knock the gel down, we will use a block just to make sure that we're not dishing into the gel coat and making it all ripply. So that's your two grades done.
So that's just cut through the old gel coat now?
Yep, so that we now know is the true colour of the gel coat.
Yep.
And then what we'll do is we'll use some cutting compound. You want to use a fairly coarse, because if you're on a gel coat boat, then you need it to be fairly coarse just to bring the shine back. Painted boats or anything like that are very, very different kettle of fish, but gel coat boats, you need something quite coarse to bring the shine back out and also get rid of all the dirt.
Yep.
So we'll just pop a little bit on the rag, and then just smear over the surface like so. And again, for ease, we're going to use a lamb's wool mop on a drill bit, just because we're doing a fairly small area, and you just want to basically bring the shine back up. So what we're going to do now, we've got our gel coat here, which is just in liquid form, which we've already got as a flow coat, so it's pre-waxed. So that's all nice, no hardener whatsoever in there.
So this is direct from the bottle?
Yep, direct from the bottle, and again, you can buy this from chandleries or other marine suppliers. We also have black pigment and a yellow pigment. Now, depending on the boat, depending on the age, all sorts, you might find that you need 2 colours, 1 colour, 10 colours. You just don't know, and this is when you need the experience of the specialist to come in to do it. So we're going to add on here. We've got our nice shiny patch, which we've done a little bit earlier. So then we're going to, in fact, what we'll do is I'll show you what straight white gel coat, which is the same. This is the same as what we put in there, just without the filler mixing. So on our nice shiny patch, we will just dab a little bit of white on there. So if we gelled this boat with that white, that's what you would see.
Yeah.
And that's the colour difference.
It's a really clear mark, isn't it?
Yeah. So we want to basically change that colour.
You're not getting anything else from having done that, from just having done your filled gel coat before, are you really?
No, exactly. So here we've got the yellow and the black.
And what are your thoughts here on the yellow and black? Just what is it about this gel coat that makes you think those are the colours?
So just experience will tell me that this is a creamy coloured boat, but everybody tells me that they have a white boat. Well, every white boat is different. So we're just going to add a very, very small amount to start with. If you add too much, then you either start again,
there's no going back,
or you have to add more white, which you could end up with 10 litres of white gel coat. And so we're going to add a very, very small amount into this. So that's how much yellow we've added. And
how many mils of gel is that in the pot there?
I think we've got around about 150.
So a pinhead of yellow to 150.
And then what we can do is we can add it next to our other colour and just compare the two colours.
Yeah, definitely already a better.
And you can see it's changing, hopefully the right way. But we're still a little bit light still. So what we can do is we can just add a tiny bit more. But again, you've already added some, so you want a small amount. And you can see we've gone from a very white to a slightly creamer, and then slightly creamer again.
So we're literally just aging, we're adding in the yellow from the aging process, aren't we, really?
Yep. And then when you think you're getting somewhere close, this is when you can add a little bit on in a different area, and then we can smear it through. And then from eye, you can then, if you can colour match, you can then tell by eye whether it's going in the right direction or in the wrong direction. And currently that's too white still, so this one here we've put on and smeared it over, and I can tell that it's too white still. So once we've cleaned our area, we'll just pop that out of the way. Our gel coat now has gone off nice and hard in both areas. So first off, we will tape off the non-slip area, because we don't want to damage that, especially when the owner of the boat's sat right next to me.
And what tape are you using there? Just standard masking tape?
Just a standard masking tape. All it is just simply protecting the area. So the only thing with masking tape is don't leave it out in the rain, and don't leave it, if it goes out in the rain and then gets hot, it will be an absolute nightmare to get off.
Yeah, we've had it.
It welds itself and all the glue separates, and you end up picking a centimetre off at a time.
That and gaffer tape on gel coat. Just steer clear of them.
Yeah. So we've got our gelled area here, so we've got our previous repair there, and we've got our new filled area here. So what we need to do, again, we can block this down, but because we've actually done it with a spatula, which is nice and flat, it's a relatively even surface.
But if we were doing a longer repair though, then we might want to use a block, just to keep it nice and flat.
Yeah, you can use a block or a stick inside just to make it nice and rigid.
Yeah.
And then we need to just carefully rub down these areas, and as you're rubbing it, you're keying the other area ready for gel coat.
Because you want to rub past just your repair, don't you?
Yeah. You need to make sure that your sanded area is all nice and clean and tidy.
And you've done there, what, about 12 inches?
Yep, so we've
roughly for those two repairs there?
We've got one repair here which we've filled, and then one repair here that was previously filled. So that's roughly, what, 2 to 3 inches by the time you've sort of gone to the far side of it. So we've then effectively done the same distance either side of it.
Yep.
We've gone right to this edge and just down slightly on there. Right, so we've got our colour match gel here, we've got our catalyst, a little brush and some mixing sticks and cups. So we've keyed our areas, our two areas here. Our two repairs, we've got our filled area here and our original previous filled area. and a small one there. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark the ends of.
Why are you marking that?
Just so our first coat of gel, because we're going to have to put a few coats of gel on this. If you just put one coat of gel on, as soon as you rub it, you'll rub straight through it and you'll see the repairs again. So you need to build it up in layers. So as you build it up in layers, if you're trying to cover something that's fairly well matched already, which is just straight white, then you can generally put about three coats of gel on, and it will cover. By the time you've rubbed, you will always rub at least one layer off.
Right.
So if you're only putting one layer on, you're going to rub it straight off. So you want minimum of 3 on, and if you're doing a large area, up to sort of 5, 6, depending on what you're doing. You can use a roller, you can use a brush, you can spray gel coat, but obviously it's a bit more advanced. But generally, just a small little brush. So all we'll do is we'll take a small little disposable cup. We'll get some of our gel coat and just pour a small amount in. So again, we've probably got
That's literally what, just kind of 10, 20 mils?
2-3 brushfuls. That's all we're going to use, because we've literally got to put one coat on, leave it to dry. You roughly, until you can run your finger over it, and it not stick or not come off on your finger, that's when it's ready for the next coat.
So in this weather, what are we looking at?
Again, we're going for sort of between 2 and 4%. So if we're roughly going to put two into that, and then give that a good mix in. Small amount on the brush, and all we're doing on the first coat, we're just covering our 2 areas. So we've got one area here and one area here. So all we're going to do is we're just going to lay the gel on, just to cover those repairs as neatly as you can. And if you need a little bit more, so that's the first coat.
And how long do you think we'll have to leave that now till it's ready?
That'll be around about 15 to 20 minutes. And again, when you can run your finger over it, so if I run my finger over that, it's going to come off on my finger. As soon as you can run your finger over it and it doesn't come off on your finger, put the next one on, and so on and so forth.
And if you paint it over a bit early when it's still a bit sticky?
You'll pull the previous layer off. So effectively you're taking off a layer as well as putting one on.
There's no advantage at all.
You have to wait. Just wait for it to go off properly. And then once you've done all those, let them dry. Ideally you'll leave them to dry for 24 hours to ensure that they don't shrink, because even if you sand it down straight away and then you polish it, it will look lovely. You'll come back in an hour and it'll have shrunk down, because the gel coat will shrink in. So apply your gels, apply 3 to 5 gels.
15 minutes between, 15-20 minutes between each one until you can run your finger over it?
Yeah, depending on weather, temperature, and amount of catalyst you put in, will depend on how quick it will go off. But the trick of it is if you can run your finger over it and you don't get any white gel on your finger, then it's good to go for the next one.
3 to 5 layers, and then leave that
for 24 hours. Come back the next day, and then we can rub it all down.
So we're back here now 24 hours later with Mark from Solent Repairs. We've let the gel coat really harden, and now he's going to show us how to finish off the job.
So, like you say, we've let it all cure. So, nice and simply, very simply, is the same as what we've done when we cut back and found our true colour. But before we do that, where we've brushed the gel on, just take a pencil or anything, or dirty hand even, and literally just run it over the surface, so you can actually see where you're sanding. Same on the top.
So that's just to make sure you don't sand too far.
Yep, it just gives you a guide of where you're sanding. And all we do simply now is we just polish over the top. drill.
And it's great. I mean, you really cannot see that there's ever been a repair there, both from the shape of it and from the colour of it. It really is quite the result.
Well, thanks for watching. I hope that was of help. Make sure that you like us, make sure that you subscribe to us, and stay in touch for the next episode.